Well, good evening and welcome on board to Business Today. I'm Joram Ssonko with Winnie Wins and Akauchi on sign language. And of course, a happy Independence Day to Kenya and all the Kenyans across the East African community region. But with that, we do kickstart off with our top story here regarding the production of oil crops in Uganda. Now, in an effort to boost output, the government of Uganda recently gave 9 billion shillings to nuts from the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries to support oil crop projects that were harmed by COVID-19 due to imported raw materials from Ukraine. Now, according to Khadija Blessing Nakakande, Principal Public Relations Officer, the 29 cooperatives and 17 large-scale farmers in the Lango sub-area and Acholi were chosen to benefit from the crude oil initiative to boost the production of cooking oil in Uganda. Samar Kirimunda with this report.
9 billion Uganda shillings was released from the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Husbandry to the NAD Secretariat as Uganda's production of cooking oil from crops increases. The NAD Secretariat chose 29 cooperatives and 17 large-scale farmers to benefit from the sunflower and soybean project, which provided seeds to farmers in Lango sub-region who have more than 500 acres of land.
Holders and we agreed to work with large-scale farmers, individual farmers, and also the cooperatives. So we worked with the district local governments and we came up with a list, of course, of people who are willing to take up this commodity. Remember, it is their land. You cannot force them to grow this. So, and we focused more on Acholi and Lango sub-region because this is where the sunflower and the soybean actually does very well. So we selected a total of 17 large-scale farmers, majority of whom are based in Noya district. We are talking about people who have more than 500 acres. These are the people that we are dealing with. And then we also selected some cooperatives that were willing to take up the crops, majority of whom are in Lango sub-region, in Lira, Oyam, Otuke, and those neighboring districts. Because with the cooperatives, as much as the members may have smaller acreages of land, but at least when you bulk them together, you'll find that only one cooperative has acres and acres of land. So this project mainly focuses on large-scale farmers and cooperative societies, farmer cooperative societies.
Khadija Blessings Nakakande, Principal Public Relations Officer at the NAD Secretariat, adds that 30% of the investment will be returned to the government after harvesting the crops. She further explains that because enhanced sunflower imported from Ukraine costs between 70,000 and 80,000 Uganda shillings per kilogram and was extremely expensive for farmers to purchase, they were forced to raise the crops on a tiny scale.
This seed is expensive, and it's one of the reasons why farmers were doing this on small scale. We do not produce sunflower seed here, especially the improved varieties. And those are the ones that give you higher yields. All the improved varieties of sunflower are imported, and these are expensive. A kilogram of improved sunflower seed costs between 70,000 and 80,000 shillings. Not many of our farmers can actually afford that. And that 1 kilogram of sunflower seed, it will cover less than an acre.
30% of the harvest's 9 billion shillings will be charged in interest. These will assist the government in providing seeds for all the other farmers in order to carry out large-scale planting in the long run.
Where government pays 70% of the cost of the seed, and then the farmer contributes 30% of the seed. So where a farmer was buying a kilogram of sunflower seed at 70,000 or 80,000, you'll find that after government comes into support, they are going to pay like 20,000. And this is money they are paying after harvesting. These are crops that are harvested between 3 to 4 months. So after like 4 months, you make your sales, then you bring back the 30% to government, and then we reinvest the money and procure more seed and then also bring on board more farmers to produce. When you go to soybean, a kilogram costs the seed. It's between 5,000 to 6,000.
Uganda's oil production, which relied on the importation of Ukraine raw materials, was impacted by the COVID-19 outbreak. Sunflower and soybean harvesting is anticipated to begin by the end of December 2020 and the beginning of January 2023. Samuel Chirimunda, Martha Nimsima, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now let's look at oil and gas transformation. Uganda was at a pivotal point in its history. Large amounts of oil and gas were discovered in 2006, with the International Monetary Fund currently ranking it as having the fourth largest crude oil reserve in sub-Saharan Africa. This offers a chance to address the nation's economic problems as well as the necessity to deal with pollution issues. We have more in this report.
Approximately 1.4 billion of Uganda's 6.5 billion barrels of proven oil reserves, located mostly on the western border of the DRC, are estimated to be economically recoverable. French companies Total Energies and Chinese company Ssonko hold licenses to develop these resources. The regulatory body claims that by next year, more contracts will be signed and more players will have joined.
Like we've said, in 2021 we had contracts worth about $180 million. In 2022 we are likely to see over 3 billion. And next year we are going to see probably that even going higher, because a lot of the works have been put in place. The enabling infrastructure is ongoing and is almost ready. The first rig is already here, the next rig is expected in December and another one in February. So a lot of works are going on. The procurements are in high gear. A lot of procurements and contracts are being awarded at the moment. So we are going to see 2023 as being a year where there's a lot of activity in the oil and gas sector, and we are hoping to see more Ugandans participating in the sector in the coming years.
The Ugandan populace is eagerly awaiting the time when the oil begins to flow. And while Ugandans hope and pray that the oil wealth from the nation would soon convert into better social and economic consequences for them, a general feeling of anxiety and concern prevails. Do these businesses possess the necessary capabilities to successfully compete?
Most of the Ugandan companies are not well versed with this, but we are seeing the development of the capacities of Ugandans in ensuring that they comply with these standards. And over time, we are confident that many Ugandan companies will be able to partake on that. There are many other challenges that we see, but we are looking at trying our best to build the capacity, because some of the technologies that are required for the sector are more advanced and not available for Ugandans. But we are building the capacity of Ugandans through partnerships. We are building the capacity of Ugandans through technology and knowledge transfers. So we are confident that Ugandans will be able to provide these services over time.
200,000 barrels per day may be transported to Tanzania through the 1,444 kilometers pipeline. As a result, it poses an environmental issue in the areas where it will operate. The Uganda Land Commission gives absolute land rights for 66 years to allow the project company that is equal to carry out all project activities, but is such a break really worth it?
It's a point of worry, because when you look at the ECOP Special Provisions Act, Section 10.8, it stipulates that the company has rights, or the law gives it rights to deviate from the approved route without any consent, without any regulatory consent. So it begs the question, if they're going to take 60 years, how much land are you going to acquire for ECOP? If your law is not clear on what, because the Section 10.8 says that the pipeline route can deviate, the company can deviate the route of the approved route of the pipeline, provided it's not substantial enough. Now it leaves the question, what amounts to substantial?
The advancement of Uganda's oil and gas exploration will greatly be aided by the recent advances in the country's energy industry. Ronana Habwe, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now today has been Kenya's independence. Kenya at 59 since 1963, ever since they got their independence. Now, President William Ruto has awarded Kenyans in attendance with tech scholarship worth $10,000. The president also signed the county government's additional allocations bill 2022 into law. Kenya President William Ruto, while presiding over the 59th Jamhuri at the Nyayo National Stadium, over 20,000 scholarships to Kenyans attending the celebrations were awarded to mark over 5 decades since the country became a republic in 1964. The scholarships are courtesy of Third School of Global Management, Arizona State University. Kenyans attending the celebrations did access the scholarships at the stadium via a QR code with the venue. Now, the head of state further revealed that a 16-unit course would have cost $10,000. And then earlier on, ICT and Digital Economy Principal Secretary John Tanui had announced that Kenyans would get a free scholarship if they attended the Jamhuri Day celebrations. The scholarships will be on technology certification courses and will be awarded to eligible adults. The president noted that through a dedicated startup fund, the government, through the most innovative ideas, is set to scale up into viable commercial enterprises. Now, at the same time, President William Ruto has signed the county government's additional allocations bill 2022 into law. This particular bill provides the legal framework for the allocation of additional revenue to counties. It was apparently sponsored by Mandera Senator Ali Ibrahim Roba when it came to the floor of the House for a second time. Now, the funds will come from either proceeds of loans from development partners or from the national government revenue share. And as Smart 24 TV, we continue to wish our dear brothers in Kenya a happy Independence Day. It's Kenya at 59. The journey to 60 years kicks off today. All right, now away from that, we move forward to the COVID-19 reoccurrence in China. Now, the new outbreak COVID-19 pandemic has caused tension amongst the business community of Uganda. This has come at a time when the Ugandan business community has been anxiously waiting for the long ban to China entry to be eased. According to CNBC calculations based on data from Wind Information, the number of daily cases has risen to near or more than 28,000 in recent days, a number last reached in April during strict lockdown in Shanghai. We have more in this report.
It is very, very unfair that while we had that China was opening up the economy fully, it becomes a real fiasco that they are considering now a next step. Because according to how many people died in China and elsewhere, the recurrence of COVID-19 might not allow China to give us visas. It is very sad news that we are hearing about the reoccurrence of COVID-19 because of the pain that we are still nurturing as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Therefore, anything that talks about COVID re-happening is a big challenge, both in the social and business atmospheres.
Mr. Sejito went on to say that many business people are losing money because they are unable to visit China to make their own decisions. As a result, they shop online and the suppliers end up sending them items that the customer did not order for.
The Ugandans have lost lots of money because of the disallowance of China to give us visas. You order online, you specify what you want. By the time you are offloading the goods, they are totally different. This has happened to many suppliers. This has happened to many Ugandans. It looks like it would not be very expensive because you don't pay for a ticket. You don't even pay for accommodation. But all combined, the ticket and accommodation cannot compensate for what you lose if the order is changed. Equally, bargaining for the best prices. If you travel to Guangzhou, to Yiwu, to Shenzhen, anywhere that you source the goods, you have a choice. If somebody does not sell to you at the price you wish, you go to another factory. But here now you are stuck You can only talk to those you know, and therefore variety and the pricing is not realized. So it is really big negative news to hear that COVID-19 is reoccurring in China.
Kasita claims that it is difficult to evaluate this year's business success because it has been marked by several adversities, some of which have resulted into business closures.
It depends. Some sectors have enjoyed, for example, those in agricultural side. The prices of commodities in the agricultural sector have almost, for all this period, been stable. People have gotten money, especially the farmers. They are anything agro-based. Those in industry lost, but not 100% like the ordinary traders who do not even get capital or many stock from wherever they wanted all over the world. So those importers have actually suffered. And it has taught us a lesson of diversification. Many people took this as an opportunity to explore more opportunities.
However, the business community has been urged to move together if they want to achieve more.
To look for ways of how they can exploit the opportunities that comes with signing of protocols, different protocols. And one of them is trying to be strategic and working together in the teams, not working individually. Yes, you can go as far as you can as an individual, but when there is a loss, you suffer the consequences. We have seen it with the Sudan, with the people, Ugandans in Sudan. And we have seen it with the people who lost in the post-elections in Kenya 2007. So it's always better if you can move together other than moving as an individual. There we can achieve much. We can go far if you can try to get organized.
All this occurred after the Ugandan economy, which had been shut down for over 2 years owing to COVID-19, was fully reopened in late January. Monica Nabyonga, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now, besides that, let us look at the Health Innovation Conference. The Academy for Health Innovation has today organized Health Innovation Conference themed Building Resilient Healthcare Systems Through Innovation. It's from the same event that the health innovators were asked to come up with innovations that are people-centered than being maximizing the profits. Let's have more in this report.
The Health Innovation Conferences continues to provide opportunities for young startup innovators, health workers, and the private sector developers. According to the U.S. Ambassador to Uganda, Natalia Brown, the United States is committed to improving the health of all citizens so they can live longer, more prosperous lives and better contribute to their communities and the growth of the country.
So it's, this is what we need if we're going to all of us, not just in Uganda but around the world, lead healthier, more productive lives. We need to think more broadly, more inclusively about this, and it means listening to voices of the young people and looking to innovate their approaches into healthcare for everyone. And the United States is glad that we've been able to partner with IDI over the years to make some of these advances in medical care possible.
Oh, okay. There's the gal.
Yes.
Significant innovations have been made in drugs devices. However, some young health innovators in Uganda have reportedly always lacked funding.
Because, sources of financing are rare because, of course, we have competing needs. But also, financiers sometimes struggle with overly risky innovations. There is no proven concept, there's no data collected, there's no research. And so our work with IDI has served that purpose, that with drone technology, we've been able to gather information on viability, efficiency, and acceptance within communities. And these are all aspects that any new innovation has to deal with, that before a bank can extend a loan to an innovator, with a new idea, with a new concept, with a new application, they need to be able to understand that idea, its viability as a business.
According to Dr. Shiraj Shrestha, the program manager at the World Health Organization works with the partners to increase innovation and mobilize resources, as well as to support innovators in getting marketed to wider platforms.
and there's a need also for the public-private partnership, for people to come together. We need more innovators who can challenge the status quo and bring in something that is that would impact the health of the people at the rural level. True, and that's the reason today afternoon you'll be hearing something about Uganda Health Innovation Cluster. So WHO, together with Ministry of Health, together with Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, that's the platform that we're trying to emphasize for the innovators to come on board.
I am delighted to inform you that at least at Makerere University, the government of Uganda has given the university money. This money is called the Research and Innovation Fund. It's your taxpayer money. I think it's 2 billion per year. That is not small money, because before that there was no money for innovation.
The innovators are now asking the government to change its approach so that their phototype ideas are transformed into products that can be commercialized into the Ugandan market. Bedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now Uganda is said to export tax-free goods to the United Kingdom as the total value of trading goods and services, exports plus imports, between the UK and Uganda in the 4 quarters leading up to the end of Q2 2022 was 334 million, up to 21.5%. And the 59 million from the 4 quarters leading up to this point. Now, in order to promote trade relations and the framework for investment policies among neighboring states, the government will begin exporting tax-free items to the United Kingdom as of 2023. We have more in this report.
Uganda has been given a 99% duty-free contract for its exports to the UK trade market starting next year. So they will be able to send goods there tax-free. A wide range of goods including cotton, edible crops, coffee, salt, cement are exported by Uganda to the UK.
Ultimately, we want to increase bilateral trade between Uganda and UK. Our offer to business includes UK export finance, private investment vehicles, ODA-led finance, access to government and DI in country support, UK countries to do business in Uganda. I want to emphasize that Uganda is an important part in trade and investment with the UK, and we will support Uganda in becoming more prosperous by supporting the private sector by increasing exports, growing in more investment to the country.
Exporting tax-free goods to the UK will help governments make money from export monopolies, ensure that taxes due to fluctuating currency rates are eliminated, and strengthen international trade relations, increase production, market reach, development funding, and trade integration opportunities.
They remove those tariff barriers is to facilitate the seamless flow of goods and services. So on one account, as a government, you can lose because you're not collecting the tax revenue. But you can gain on the other way around, that the export volumes are going to increase. People are going to export more and more. And then we have this foreign exchange coming within the country, and it could pay some advantages to us, that our shilling perhaps can gain value, because whenever we are exporting, when we export much, the domestic currency gains value.
According to the Sustainable Development Goals, exporting tax-free goods to the UK will increase aid for trade support in Uganda through enhanced integrated framework for trade-related technical assistance from the UK. It will also develop and operationalize a global strategy for employment, increase tax collection, and implementing trade relations for Uganda and the UK. Martha Nimsima, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Minutes off the hour of 9 p.m. and we shall continue with more Business Today immediately after the break. Smart 24, driving business.
The taste of Uganda in a new international park.
But 3K for sending charges? Surely? Many to get there.
No, wait a little bit, please.
I'm going to go waiting charge.
Chikole for less, I can hustle, no stress. Whether night or day to the okay.
Don't hustle to pay the bills. Send or receive money. Chikole for less, ne flexi pay. Hold it.
Chikole for less with FlexiPay. Dial *291# to transact or download the FlexiPay app to get started. Stanbic Bank. It can be. Stanbic Bank is regulated by the Bank of Uganda, and customer deposits are protected by the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda, up to 10 million shillings.
Smart 24, driving business. Alright, we'll be back from the break. Now, let's look at the 22nd Micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises East African Community Trade Fair. Now, in order to increase Africa's current market share of 3%, the government of Uganda has demonstrated the necessity for cooperation and partnership on the items offered on the global market. While presiding over the MSME's East African Community Trade Fair at Kololo Airstrip, Uganda's Premier made this public. We have more in this report.
The regional steering team.
The biennial ESC Juakali exhibition, also known as MSM East Trade Fair, is in its 22nd year and has as its subject, Buy East African to build East Africa for resilience and sustainable development. The major goal for this trade fair is to promote this emerging economic sector, which requires government and public support in order to be sustainable, in order to help the region realize its development goals and aspirations. Uganda is hosting the first event of this kind, and the country has high expectations for the fair, according to the Prime Minister, Robin Anabanja.
The fair, therefore, provides an opportunity for MSMEs in the East African Community Partner States to network, share innovations, support technology transfers, and discuss and find solutions to their common challenges. We must take advantage of this large market size to grow trade and investments between our partner states. There is no way a country or region can achieve prosperity if it does not solve the issue of market size. The more goods people can buy from you, the better for you.
According to Dr. Monica Msenero, Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, if the regional growth is even taken into consideration, all East African countries should embrace technology growth.
The purpose of this exhibition, Right Honorable, is to bring together
the medium, small and micro enterprises from East Africa region, who are a collection of traders and artisans with a wide range of skills, trading in various products like textiles, fabrics, foodstuffs, ornaments, crafts and handwork, machinery, furniture, among many others. This will also allow them interact, identify new markets, and make sales of products across borders. This trade fair is thus part of our effort to advance the commitment of recognizing regional competences of traders and artisans for wider opportunities.
The ESC market has been facing a lot of challenges, among which the low-quality products are one of the measures. The Prime Minister responded to the challenges and the way forward.
On account of this, our countries continue to lag behind because we are not fetching a competitive price for our products. The President continued to say, we do not add value to our raw materials, but sell them at giveaway prices. Hence, our persistent low participation in the global trade. The intra-regional trade within the East African community, we still have a lot of work to do, compared to 46% in SADC and 65% in the European Union. To do this, we must continue to address and improve our economic policies in this region. The theme for the trade fair, Buy East African, Build East Africa for Resilient and Economic Development, is very appropriate to cause progress.
During the momentous signing of the treaty for the establishment of the ESC in November 1999, the first ESC MSM East Trade Fair was organized in Arusha, Tanzania. After the Arusha exhibition was a success, the ESC heads of state decided that the exhibition should be organized annually on a rotating basis among the partner states in order to improve and modernize the socio-economic integrations of East Africa. Desire Nambiru, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now that brings us to our coffee court conversations tonight. Now, pretty much a time when you get to realize that the year is coming to an end, and the small and medium-sized enterprises as a sector is one that steadily is revolving and making sure that the economy of Uganda is steadily recovering. The sector was hit hard by COVID-19. However, 2023 has seen some steady progress in its recovery. In tonight's Coffee Court, we do discuss more about how best the sector players can benefit come 2023 and how they can tap into the available opportunities. Speaking of which, the African Continental Free Trade Area, the East African Community Region, among us the others. This is the Coffee Court.
Well, it's a pleasure. Thank you for joining us on this Coffee Court, where we ask the critical questions, but questions that matter. And I'm joined by Mr. Walugembe John, the President of Federation for Small and Medium Enterprise. We weigh in on the performance of the year 2022, right from the global perspective, here in Uganda. Mr. Walugembe, thank you for joining us.
And thank you for having me on this coffee chat. So it's a pleasure to come to Smart 24, the leading station that discusses business. It's very important that people discuss substance.
Okay. And because we are discussing substance, let's straight away go to the critical question. In your perspective as the President of Federation for Small and Medium Enterprise, what is your take on the performance of business right from the global perspective?
Okay, so firstly, ideally this should have been a year for recovery, because remember 2022 is the second year in which businesses have been allowed to reopen after the lockdown. So ideally, businesses now should be at a state where they're almost hitting their COVID-19 levels in terms of performance, in terms of capacity utilization, and also in terms of profitability. But that's not what we've seen. We've seen that the negative impacts of the pandemic have persisted. The supply chain disruptions that are of a global nature, that have trickled down into the price of goods and services. So the cost of transportation of goods has remained high, and that has trickled down into the price that the final consumer pays for certain goods and services. We've also seen new geopolitical tensions that have exacerbated this situation, chief of which is the Ukraine war. And because Russia and Ukraine are some of the leading producers of fertilizer, they are some of the leading exporters of crude oil and other vital and wheat. This has fundamentally distorted global markets and has led to global inflationary pressures, which have been imported locally.
Okay.
So the year closes when the economy is still struggling with a lot of uncertainty due to the persistent disruptions in global supply chains, but also due to existing inflationary pressures that the government is moving very robustly to address through a very tight monetary policy, through cutting public spending and so on. But the uncertainty still remains.
Should we be still talking about COVID, even when the year 2022 is coming to the end?
COVID was not an event. It was a shock to the global economy. It was a shock to both the supply side of the global economy and the demand side of the global economy. So because that happened, we shall take the global economy and the Ugandan economy as a whole will take time to weather the storm. So people should stop looking at COVID-19 as an event that ended. No, they should look at the persistent impacts on the global economy that have continued to persist. But if we don't take that into consideration, it means whatever solution, you must understand what is disturbing a patient. If the patient, that's why they ask, do you have any pre-existing illness?
You say yes or no?
Yes or no, because if you have a pre-existing illness, I may give you medicine, and the medicine makes your situation worse because of the underlying illness.
Other
so what we are
countries
saying,
have moved on.
Which country has moved?
The countries which have been crippled.
There is no country.
COVID-19.
There is no country that has moved on. The European economy is in free fall. The UK economy is in terrible shape. The US economy is struggling, and it's seeking to recover through war because that's the construct of that economy. So what we are saying is it's difficult globally, and as a small economy in the world, we should not expect our situation to be any different. Obviously, we expect the central bank to do something, we expect the government to react, but in certain situations, their hands are tied. And Ugandans ought to recognize this.
So if you say Uganda is one of the best countries that performed well in terms of managing the COVID-19 pandemic, and countries that were...
You mean economically or the health situation?
I am putting all aspects into consideration.
I wouldn't say the best because that's difficult to determine. But what's clear is that in terms of managing the pandemic and bringing it under control, I think we had one of the strictest regimes. We can debate whether the merits and demerits of that. Some people feel health comes first, so anything else is secondary. Some people feel, well, we should have struck a certain balance between health and the economy. But be that as it may, it's important that Uganda is able to bring the pandemic.
So do you think government has handled well both the effects of COVID and then the current situation?
I think it has tried. The government is operating in a very tight fiscal space. Because as a result of the pandemic, it means that government suffered on the side of domestic resource mobilization. Government had to take on certain loans to respond to the health crisis, and then had to put in place unprecedented measures to support the recovery of businesses, like the COVID-19 relief funds, like the small business recovery fund. So I would say government has tried. We can assess the effectiveness of some of these initiatives, but as to whether they were well-intentioned and responded well, I would say yes.
Have we administered the right medicine for the right problems and right challenges?
We have administered the medicine, but is the patient getting better? Maybe not. Maybe the patient getting better at a slow rate. See, but that's typical. It's like when you go, that's why every hospital has a mortuary, because you can get better, you can get worse, you can completely not make it. So what we are saying is that government has administered the right medicine. The recovery is not as it should be, but we're on the right track.
Okay.
It's where we can say, oh no, the patient is on the road to recovery.
Okay.
But as I mentioned, there's a lot of uncertainty, which is of a global nature.
Well, what sort of uncertainty are you talking about?
Look at the war in Ukraine. Does not affect us. We are not parties to the conflict, but some of the secondary impacts of that is trickling down. For instance, so at the moment, I think that G7, the EU and the US have placed a cap on the price of Russian crude oil. Now, Russia has said, well, we'll cut production. If Russia cuts production, it means that global crude oil price per barrel will skyrocket. If it skyrockets, it will feed back into the price of essential commodities here. Okay. So these are things that are not in our control, but will affect us. That's why I say there's a lot of uncertainty that still remains. If you look at the pandemic, yes, we can say the pandemic is under control, but COVID-19 is not completely defeated. You see in certain geographies, you see new variants coming up and so on. So this feeds into the global uncertainty. What will happen? What if a new variant comes up? How not everyone is vaccinated? So all these things feed into the uncertainty. Okay. That's not to say that things won't get better, but that's to say we should be cautious as we go into a new year.
Okay. Yes. And then back to the issues of SMEs. To what extent has this affected you being the president? Well, the SME sector, as you know, has been at the receiving end of all these things, right from the pandemic and the lockdown. A lot of businesses ended up closing because they could no longer keep, in business. A lot of businesses that survived have also been struggling with very diminished demand. People don't have money, and people are prioritizing essential, services and commodities. That's health, that's education, and so on. So it means that a lot of sectors of the economy are struggling with low sales and low revenue. So these things are persistent, and in factor in issues of high commodity prices, it means that as an SME, I have to increase my price in order to recover my costs. But at the same time, the consumer is not willing to pay more. Okay. So what do I do? It means that either I choose not to sell or I choose to sell at a loss. So the government approach of reaching out to SMEs, especially giving them money for recovery, I know you remember when government came out and pronounced, yes, let this money come from UBB, yes, let this money come from the financial institution. Did you receive this money? But we don't want to appear as if SMEs are dependent on government. In fact, it is SMEs who are donating. Because if we are talking about the impact of the SME sector, if talking about the employment generates, if talk about the contribution to GDP, ultimately it's SMEs that support. This was money to help you. Now, what happened with the stimulus? A stimulus is where someone is moving but is a bit slow. So you give him something to stimulate him. Like you're reading and it's at night, you're starting to sleep, then someone gives you some coffee as a stimulant. That is what the person who gives you coffee is not the one going to read and so on. So this stimulant is only momentary. Because when you take coffee when you're reading at night, you're not going to spend 1 week without sleep. So what we are saying is that stimulant that government gave through the Small Business Recovery Fund, the funds that it directed through the government, all this was a welcome intervention. But it has a limit. It cannot solve all our problems. Besides, after 2 years, those who have accessed have accessed, those who have not accessed have not accessed. Obviously, there's some money like the Small Business Recovery Fund that we are trying to reconfigure to see how to ensure that more SMEs access. But not every SME can access this money or benefit. So what we are telling SMEs is, yes, government has done something, but that small money is not going to solve all your problems. Okay. What is it that we ought to learn as a country, maybe moving forward? Now, I think as a country we need to support more businesses to come up, more businesses to survive, because if you have a robust entrepreneurial ecosystem that supports the growth
and startups that support the scaling of SMEs. This your economy is likely to do better than an economy that has a very shrunk SME sector, because that translates into your tax base. See, and if you have a narrow tax base, it means that every time you have such a crisis, you simply increase taxes. So in that case, you're focusing on debt as opposed to credit, and that's what you're telling government. Let's work together to expand the tax base in a way that is fair. Let's lower the actual effective tax rate. Let's bring more people in the bracket, but lower the rate. Because if you maintain the rate at 30% or whatever, it's a disincentive for others who are likely to join the tax bracket. But if you lower it, it means people feel, okay, it's a low tax rate. If I pay, it does not fundamentally affect my financial performance. The other issue, of course, is to offer some benefits. See, if I pay tax, what's the benefit? What's the direct benefit?
You don't see the benefits?
No, it's too general. When a tax is made, it's like God. When God brings rain, He does not individually reward me because I went to church 5 times. The rain falls everywhere. So what we are saying, government should create an incentive system which is not like rain. So do you want more targeted benefits? Look, if I'm a business person and I paid so much tax over so long, why is it that my road is not made? What government could do is to ring-fence a percentage of the collected revenue, 10%, 20%, and say this money should be used for activities that support the leading taxpayers directly.
That's what URA does. It comes out to come and reward those.
What does it? With certificates? No, we are saying we want concrete, not recognition, concrete benefits. See? If someone pays tax, they are rated, and when government tenders come out, they are the first to be considered. That's a concrete benefit. Maybe, but if, okay, yes, you would ask for tax clearance or whatever, but that's again an indirect way. So what I'm saying, let's try to look for packages that are directly beneficial to taxpayers. Recognizing certificates is good, but what more can we do?
You think government should go beyond that? Government has initiated a number of programs,
yes,
like the parish development model.
That is not for taxpayers. That's for people who are even outside. This is the whole point. Now, the parish development model is incentivizing people who are even outside, saying, come in. We are being like taxi operators who ignore the people within the taxi and concentrate on the people outside.
That's a business.
The people,
it's a business.
The people who are already in the tax bracket also need some affirmative action. In addition to expanding and saying, okay, let's bring the people outside the money, which is good and we fully support. But in addition to that, what more can we do to incentivize people that are currently compliant and are paying the taxes? That's something we can discuss, I think, as we come to the end of it. And it's good to consider new ideas.
Okay, maybe you take on how these projects are performed. The parish development.
No, I think the parish development model is a very good model. We need to give it time to work. You know, because it's helping.
It's now almost 6 months down the road.
No, you cannot.
This financial
you cannot judge a program in 6 months. It's too short. This is a long-term program that seeks to turn around the fortunes of people at the bottom of the pyramid.
It is half a financial year.
Yeah,
so we are good enough to judge.
No, PDM is a long-term program, and which I think if we judge it too early, we are unfair. You know, we are unfair to this program. We need to give it time. There will be teething problems. I think the finance ministry is resolving these issues. Let's give them time, and then we judge them fairly after some time. If we judge them after a month, 2 months, 3 months, I think it's too short a time to make a well-informed decision.
Inflation has been unpredictable. Ubos will come and tell you today it is 10.7.
Yes.
Now today it is 10.6. I don't know what report they will
That's the uncertainty I'm talking about. I think that has been a global phenomenon, not just a Ugandan phenomenon, that you're seeing a lot of uncertainty globally. Thankfully for Uganda, I think we are, because of that very tight monetary policy that and stance that the central bank has adopted, you're starting to see inflation being brought under control. And also the constraints that Ministry of Finance has put on public spending. I think that has also contributed to, you know, bring
So are you saying
inflation.
increasing the CBR has worked out?
Of course it has worked.
Where every trader is crying because
of course that's short-term pains, like saying I want treatment but I don't want an injection and I don't want to swallow medicine.
That's a medical strategy. We are discussing issues.
No, it's an analogy. I'm saying you must accept short-term pain in order to have long-term joy and peace. So in this case, we are saying the rising of the CBR is a necessary pain that the economy has to endure in order to prevent a worst-case scenario that you will have with runaway inflation. That said, our position has always been that the central bank should try to balance between, because you shouldn't be singularly focused on inflation in an academic kind of way. Okay. You should try to balance it with the other needs of the economy. So yes, use the CBR to control inflation, but try to balance it with growth in the economy. Because again, you don't want to raise the CBR so high that you push the economy into a recession.
Your anticipation, as we probably draw towards the end of 2020?
My anticipation is that, first of all, I congratulate Ugandans who made it through to the end of the year. I also want to congratulate the SMEs. If your business is still operational, just thank God and try to, don't feel proud, but see what has worked well, what hasn't worked well, and strategize for the next year. Use this period, these 2 weeks to think. See, because if you don't think, if you don't plan long term, it means that your business may not be well prepared. Because you don't know what storms are likely to come, or what opportunities are likely.
Would that be your last remark?
On behalf of the Federation of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, I would like to wish all Ugandans a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. In a special way, I would like to wish all small business owners happy holidays. Please use this period to think, to reflect, and to plan for the next 1 to 2 to 3 years. It has been an uncertain year, but we believe that 2023 will be a great year for all of us. Again, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Well, thank you, Mr. John Walugembe. He is the president for Federation for Small and Medium Enterprise. That is it for the Coffee Court of today. My name is Fred Makuya.
Truly the year has been uncertain, but we continue to hope for the best come 2023. We've got 5 minutes to 10 o'clock. I hope you're having a good evening, wherever you're catching us from. I'm Joram Ssonko with Winnie Williams and Akochi on Sign Language. We've been coming to you live from Plot 42, Nile Avenue, in the heart of Kampala. Have yourselves a blessed good night. Good evening.